Thanks for calling. Oh my God, I'm talking to Richard Simmons, and I don't have the heart to tell this man, and I'm too embarrassed to tell this man that I failed his diet. Welcome to the Biking Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Stacy Smith, and I lost 50 pounds riding my bike by focusing on what my body can do. Now, I teach other women how to do the same. I am obsessed with completely flipping the script on weight loss so that we can work out to feel good and feel strong. If you are ready to stop dieting, learn how to appreciate your body, and have fun riding your bike, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, for tuning into this episode. Every single time that you tune in to the Biking Wellness Podcast, you are doing something for you. You are taking time out of your day to think about your health, to think about your fitness, to think about your wellness, to think about you. And I applaud you for that. And I am so glad that we have this time to talk together every week and that we can just think a little bit more about what it is that really kind of drives us and moves us forward. And we are busy, and I know you are just as, if not more busy than I am. So to take this time out of your week is not something that I take for granted at all. I am so grateful that you're here. I am so grateful that you are listening. And without further ado, I'm just going to dive right into this episode because this week I am talking about something that I am so incredibly passionate about, and it is the biking wellness community's non-diet approach to weight loss. There are several very specific reasons why here in the biking wellness community, we believe that diets don't work. We believe that dieting causes way more harm than good, and not because of the weight loss. It is because of how the diet encourages us to lose our weight, the method in which diets encourage us to lose our weight. I cannot wait to get started. So we're just going to go ahead and we are going to dive right in. So before I do though, I just want to let you know there is a completely free Lose Weight Biking Quick Start Guide available to you on my website. All you have to do is go to www.sassy.com/guide. That's www.sassy.com/guide. And you can get my completely free guide delivered right to your inbox. And spoiler, there will be nothing about dieting in that guide. There will be nothing encouraging you to go on a diet in that guide. Okay? So here's the thing. When I look at my history of weight loss, I tried all of the diets. I tried all of the sensible diets. I was never going to try the grapefruit diet. I was never going to try a no-carb diet. I knew myself too well, and restriction like that I knew was never going to work for me. So I would try all of the sensible calorie counting diets, the diets that would encourage you to count points or calories. I think you know which ones I mean. You know, all of the Weight Watchers and the MyFitnessPal. I even did my food diary back in the day. But if I have to be really honest with you, the very first diet that I ever went on or that I had ever attempted to go on was the Richard Simmons Deal a Meal plan. Now, I know that I'm dating myself here. We're going all the way back to the late 1980s, 1987, 1989, somewhere in there. I looked it up just to be sure. And my aunt actually saw the infomercial, the Richard Simmons infomercial, and she bought the Deal a Meal cards. And they arrived and they were in my grandmother's house. And she actually I don't know if she ever started the diet. Maybe she did. I don't know what she did with them, but I know that I tried them. And the way that the diet worked was that there would be cards for different food groups, and you'd have a certain number of cards every day, and you would move them from one side of your little Deal a Meal wallet to the other. And once you moved all your cards over to the other side, you were done eating for the day. So very similar to all of the other calorie counting sorts of diets that are out there. I actually tried this diet for I don't remember. I think I probably only successfully, quote unquote, did it for 1 or 2 days. And there were not enough carbs in the day for me, my friend. So it just didn't work out. And I know that you can relate to this. I know that you can relate to being all excited about a diet, getting started with it, even if it's one of these sensible ones with a sensible plan, thinking, oh my gosh, this is totally sustainable. This is totally doable. And then feeling like you fail the diet miserably when you just can't keep up with keeping track of all of the points, all of the calories, all of the carbs. Or you get to the end of the day and you're freaking hungry and you're all out of points, calories, or carbs. So fast forward some time, and I kid you not, again, I was at my grandmother's house and Richard Simmons called our house. He called looking for my aunt because she is the one who purchased the Deal a Meal cards just to see how the diet was going. And oh my goodness, like, let's be real. First of all, I was 11, 12 years old at this point in time. So I was still a kid who had no business at all dieting in the first place. But what happened was I realized that, I had tried these cards and I could talk to him about what did and didn't work, but I was way too embarrassed to. So I was just like, oh yeah, she's not here right now. Thanks for calling. Oh my God, I'm talking to Richard Simmons and I don't have the heart to tell this man, and I'm too embarrassed to tell this man that I failed his diet. And what I didn't realize at the time, like I said, I was at most 12 years old. I had no business at all whatsoever dieting. And of course, though, I had already kind of internalized this idea that I was too big and that there was something wrong with me and that my body was a problem that I had to try to fix. And the reason why I'm telling you this and telling you this story is because I didn't fail the Deal a Meal diet. I didn't fail Weight Watchers. I didn't fail like MyFitnessPal or My Food Diary or any of those plans. Those plans failed me because they did not teach me what to do in terms of recognizing my hunger cues. They didn't teach me what to do when life got in the way, when I had a bad day, when I was really hungry. That's why diets don't work. It's because they set you up to think that you are somehow the problem and that you are somehow failing when effectively that is not what's happening and not what's going on at all. It's just that they haven't actually taught you what to do. So I'm going to go through some key issues and problems that exist in mainstream diet culture and with dieting today so that we can talk about, what is it specifically about diets that don't work? And so that when you're done listening to this episode, you will at least consider never dieting again. That's my goal. I just want you to think about it. You're going to do what you're going to do, and you should, because that's you and your body and your choices. But I just want you to go into your next diet, if that's what you decide you want to do, with a little bit more knowledge about why it works and, more importantly, why it doesn't. So first of all, diets are restrictive and they rely on willpower. And so just the connotation of the word diet is negative, and it implies that there's something wrong with you right now that you have to fix. And that is a really hard place to start from. Even if you're super motivated, even if you're like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the answer to all my problems. I am going to lose weight and I'm going to keep it off this time by following this diet. The connotation is just so negative. We always think like, okay, I've got to go on this diet and I need to have maybe I'll start it on Monday because I want to make sure that I actually can eat what I want to eat this weekend. And we start from this place of already thinking that we have to restrict, already thinking that the diet is going to be really hard and that we're going to have to buck up and rely on all of our willpower in order to make good decisions and get through. And that's just not a great place to start from. Even if we're super motivated and thinking this is going to be the one, we are so stressed out about whether or not this is going to work. And we are thinking that it's going to be awesome and that we're going to lose our weight and that if we don't, it's our fault. So that is why just even the connotation of the word diet tends to trigger for so many of us such negative thoughts and such negative responses. That is not the greatest way to start out when you're trying to lose weight. Okay, so that's the first thing that is problematic about diets. The second thing that is super problematic about a diet is that a diet isn't your plan, it's someone else's. And a lot of times when we try to lose weight, we want someone else to tell us what to do. We're like, I've tried all of the things, it has totally sucked, and this is going to be the answer and the solution to all my problems. So I'm just going to follow what this person says, and I'm going to follow it to the T, and it's going to be freaking great and freaking awesome, and I won't even have to think about it anymore. But what that doesn't do is it doesn't teach you how to listen to your body. It doesn't teach you how to listen to what feels good. Sometimes diets encourage you to eat foods that you don't particularly like, and diets will encourage you not to eat foods that you really do. And pretty much the problem here is that it takes all of the power away from you and puts it in somebody else's hands. It puts it in the hands of the diet or the person who created the diet or the person who's telling you what to do. And the best way to lose weight and keep the weight off and be sustainable is to learn how to develop a plan yourself for what you're going to eat that's based on foods that you actually like. I was actually scrolling through the social medias this week, and I came across a post where a girl was talking about how she was losing weight, and she received this advice from somebody that said, hey, if you stopped eating processed food, then you'd lose your weight so much quicker. And she was kind of pushing back on that. And oh my gosh, good for her. Good for her for saying, hey, sometimes I'm going to eat processed food and that's okay. And I'm telling you, I eat processed food every day because it can be easy. And there are some processed foods that are really healthy, actually, in comparison to others. Like if I eat a kind of, organic, minimally processed chicken sausage versus a bag of Oreos, they aren't created the same. And also processed foods can be really convenient. And sometimes that is just something that is important for us to keep in mind. Not all processed food is bad, and not all processed food is created equal. And other people's opinions really have no place in your plan. I ate kielbasa every single day when I lost 50 pounds. And guess what? I still lost 50 pounds. So you can eat what you want to eat. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to be creating your own guidelines for what works and what doesn't and what feels good. And that is going to be something that you can live with. That is going to be something that's sustainable. So along these lines of, what you can live with and why diets are problematic is that diets don't teach us to actually follow our hunger cues, and they don't do anything to really help us with emotional eating. Diets will just say, okay, this is what you can and can't eat. This is how many calories that you have in a day. This is how much you should be exercising. What they don't do is they don't take into account the fact that, not every day is going to be the same in terms of what your plans are, in terms of your mindset, in terms of your stress levels. And they don't have the adaptability to really help you lose weight sustainably long term. And they don't teach you what to do when you've had a really long day and you are stressed to the gills and you have always comforted yourself with food your entire life. And all you want to do is walk into the house and shove your head in the refrigerator and eat all of the things in it. Diets don't help with that. And diets also tell you that once you have, kind of maxed out your calories or your points or whatever for the day, that you have to stop eating. But what if you're still hungry? What if, you had a really hard bike ride that day or a really hard bike ride the day before and you're just really, really hungry? And what happens in those situations is you try to use willpower to restrict, but then you end up overeating because you hadn't fueled your body the way that it was asking for and begging for as the day went on. So that's another reason why diets really just don't work, is they teach us to ignore hunger and they don't do anything to help us with our emotional eating. This leads right into actually all of these things, and all of these points are related, but temporary changes, which is what diets tend to imply, only lead to temporary results. If we want to lose weight sustainably and lose it for the last time, we need to actually make changes that are sustainable, changes that we are able to live with. So I talk about this a lot. When I first decided I was going to lose 50 pounds, I had 2 cookies instead of 3 with my afternoon tea every day, because every day I would have a snack of tea and cookies in the afternoon, and I would have cookies, and I was like, okay, you know what I can live with? I can live with having 2 cookies instead of 3. I don't think I need 3 cookies every day to go with my tea, which also had half and half and sugar in it. And that's how it started. And over time, I took that afternoon snack and I changed it into something that was a little bit different and felt a little bit better in my body. So for now, what I do is I have a meat stick and some kind of salty kind of chip or something as my afternoon snack. I find that that sticks with me a little bit better, sustains me a little better than the sugar in the tea, the sugar in the cookies. That's just what I learned works for me. But I was still able to lose weight eating cookies and drinking tea. I still eat cookies and drink tea. I just don't do it at the same time every afternoon because through trial and error, I have found that this is what works for me. If I started out trying to restrict all of those things all at once, if I started out 5 years ago eating the way I'm eating now, I probably wouldn't have been able to sustain it. And I wouldn't have known what feels good and what doesn't because I didn't do the work myself. It wasn't hard work either. And I know I call it work, but it's really not hard. It's just learning what works for you and learning what works for your body. So temporary changes, which is what a diet implies, leads to temporary results. The second you go, quote unquote, off the diet, you're probably going to gain all of that weight back because you haven't learned how to deal with your emotions. You haven't learned how to make decisions for yourself. And you've been restricting yourself from all of the things that you really love to eat for so long that you just feel like you can't control yourself around those things anymore. Like, think about how much different it is when you learn how to eat the stuff that you like in quantities that actually feel good in your body. It's a much different situation, and it gives you those long-term sustainable results. Now, the last thing that I want to talk to you about related to my many issues with diets and dieting is that in the diet industry, the whole point is to lose weight. The whole point is not to help you. And the thing is that what the diet industry knows is that we want to lose weight. And so it focuses on, here's what you do to lose weight. You follow this plan, you will lose weight. You will buy this program to lose weight. You will stay in this program to hopefully maintain your weight. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't actually help you understand what it is that you really want. And it doesn't help you understand how to deal with your emotions throughout this process. Because we think that we want to lose weight. We think that we want to fit into our clothes. And yes, we may want those things, but we want those things because we want to feel good. We want to feel strong. We want to feel confident. We want to look in the mirror and be happy with what we see. And we think that if we physically change our body, that will just inherently solve all of the negative emotions and feelings that we have about ourselves. But when we diet and go on a diet and change our physical appearance only, we aren't dealing with the root cause of why we are overweight in the first place, of why we overeat, of why we have negative thoughts and feelings about ourselves and our bodies. That is why it is so important to take a much more holistic approach to weight loss, because losing weight fast and just getting those fast results is what some diets are helping us, quote unquote, helping us do. And the reality is that they are not setting us up for the kind of success, the long-term success that is what we really want and what we really need. And what happens when we gain all that weight back is we think that we're the problem. We think that it was all our fault, that if only we had more willpower, if only we focused more, if only we made better choices, that we would have lost our weight. When the reality is, no, that's not the problem. The problem is that the diet did not support you in the way that you really needed to be supported. Whew. So let's recap here really quickly. Dieting sucks. I will absolutely die on that hill. As a woman who dieted for decades and tried this diet and that diet and all of the ones that she thought would be the healthy kind and the sustainable kind, they all suck. And it's because they teach you to restrict. They teach you to use willpower. They're someone else's plan. They're not your plan. They don't teach you how to actually think for yourself and make choices about your food that are sustainable, ones that actually feel good in your body. A lot of diets that are out there are just designed to help us lose weight fast, to entice us to buy the program in the first place, or to become dependent on the program so we keep paying the monthly fee. And there's just not the kind of emotional support and community and understanding of our brain and how it works that is needed to really lose our weight for the last time. And now, temporary changes only give us temporary results. Diets imply that if we just restrict all the things for a while, that we'll lose weight and everything will be great. And the reality is that when we lose weight through restriction and willpower, we are going to potentially gain it back. And then we're going to think that this is our fault, to think that we are the problem, when we really haven't tackled the root cause of our eating habits and why we're overeating or emotionally eating or down on ourselves and our bodies. And what happens is, even if you do lose weight with a diet and you do keep the weight off, if you haven't dealt with those negative feelings, those negative emotions that you have about yourself and your body, you are still not going to be happy. You want to lose weight so that you feel good and so that you feel happy. And I am telling you that you will simply find something else to hyper focus on if you haven't dealt with the root cause of why you feel like you need to diet in the first place. So when I set out to lose 50 pounds 5 years ago, I knew I couldn't diet again. I knew they had never worked. I had no idea, truly, how I was going to lose my weight. I just knew that it had to be in a way that was sustainable and that worked for me. And this is what I teach other women to do now too. This is how I help other women lose their weight for the last time. It's by teaching them and empowering them to put guidelines in place for themselves that lead to the sustainable results that they want. The only way that I lost weight was finding a way that would work for me, that would work in my body, that would work with the kinds of food that I like to eat. And now I help other women do this too. And I really, really hope that this episode helps you think about your body and your weight and dieting in a completely different way. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. It's something I'm so passionate about, and I hope that you can take this message and can take this information and spread it far and wide. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend. She doesn't need to ride bikes to learn how dieting and restricting just doesn't work, and it doesn't feel good, and it's not sustainable. Okay? Thank you so much, my friend. I will talk to you again next week. Ride on. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Biking Wellness Podcast. Be sure to head on over to sassy.com/guide, sasscy.com/guide, to get my completely free Lose Weight Biking Quick Start Guide so that you can get started with simple, doable weight loss today. That's sasscy.com/guide.